Welcome back. It is Thursday. So what I'm going to do with these Thursday videos is well, attempt at least, to pick a sort of a broader topic and sort of break it down throughout the month and discuss that broad topic in more detail. So last month we looked at protection, shielding and reversal magic, and what I want to look at this month is working with the astral. Now, I'm not going to talk about, let's call it OOB, out of body experience, which most people refer to as being astral projection or astral travel. And in that case, what we're talking about is lying down on your bed, usually at night, and actually bringing yourself into a liminal state or a borderland state, and then holding that state and shifting your consciousness or your astral body or your double or whatever we want to call it out of your physical body and then going to journey. What I do want to talk about is how to work with the astral realm, with the astral plane, in a sense which is more conducive to sitting down in meditation and getting into a trance state. I think this is a lot more accessible to a lot more people. I'm not going to say don't try and do the various methods, including actual astral projection, but keep practicing and keep trying to get it right. But you can still work with the astral plane in a different manner, and it really is moving your consciousness into different realms. So that's what I want to cover this month. So what we're going to look at is, I did a video on astral temples not too long back because I was talking about the course that I created. So I'm going to link that above. I'll just mention a few things today though. But astral temples, we'll look at lucid dreaming. We also did a black hat chat about that, so I'll link that when we get to it. Having a look at shamanic journeying. And I also want to look at reality shifting, which became a bit of a TikTok trend several months back. And, whether that falls into this idea of astral projection or working with the astral in some way, shape or form. So yeah, we're going to look at various different scenarios, different ways you can work with the astral, different ways you can reach it. When we talk about the astral, it's a very broad area, very broad thing. I mean, astral can refer to many things. I think when we talk about astral in a broad and general basis, broad and general topic, what we're talking about is something beyond the organic world. And then we can get into what is reality, really. In Hinduism and Buddhism and things like that, they talk about Maya, and Maya is the illusion. And that illusion is this organic world that we live in. We get tied to this illusion and the dualities that it presents. And we get into that constant cycle of samsara, and so we can't break away from this idea that the physical reality, the organic reality, is the only reality. But it's not. It's definitely not the only reality. It is here, but there's something a lot more. And so when we talk about the astral in very broad terms, we're talking about that which is beyond this physical organic realm or reality that we experience on a daily basis. But as you work more and more with it, that starts to become more apparent. The two worlds start to mingle. They were never separate to begin with, but we become more aware of it. And we become more aware of the fact that these two worlds exist as one. And we can move between them. I say between them and they're still one, so it gets a bit, timey-wimey type of stuff. So, all right. So let's have a look. Astral temples. I just want to touch on astral temples briefly today. There's some extra stuff I just want to talk about because it came up in one of the Ask Lee videos. When we're talking about astral temple, we're talking about a very personal inner space. You can create group astral temples which become personal to a group of people, but when we're talking about your own personal astral temple, that is your inner temple. That's in you. It is very personal. And one of the things you shouldn't do, we did discuss this briefly on a Black Hat chat, but one thing you shouldn't do is bring other energies into that. It would be like inviting somebody into your body, to put it really, really simply. If you consider the astral temple to be your inner temple, that's within you. So if you were to view all of this as an organic body, this imagery will probably make it easier for everybody. If it is an organic body, your organic body, you are kind of inviting that energy into you. And when that energy comes into you, even if it leaves, it still leaves a signature behind. So you are constantly being influenced by that energy. Now, there are cases where you would want to do this. It may be a deity that you're working with that you want to bring in, you want to invoke into your own body. And therefore you would do that in order to gain a particular influence, to gain a particular drive, a particular force, a particular function that you want to attain to. So it's kind of taking in that energy in order to become that energy. So there are cases where you would want to do that. But when it comes to the astral temple, just be very, very selective and very specific. You shouldn't bring these energies into your own inner temple, your own inner personal space. And this particularly pertains to people and animals, loved animal, or your pets and things like that. Don't bring that energy into that space. It ties the energies together and it can create problems at a later stage. All right. So when you're working with the astral temple, don't bring those energies in. What you can do is create doorways from your astral temple into these other realms. So for instance, as a personal example, I have a door where I go and speak with the demonic. I draw the sigil of the demon I want to talk to on the door. I then chant the end for a little bit, and then I open the door and I step into the realm where the demonic is. So it's stepping into their realm. I have another door where I do shamanic journeying from. So I open that door and I move into the world tree, and I can change what is on the other side of the door, because it's a bit of a house moving castle door. So I can change into different or change the scene beyond that door into different cosmologies, depending on what cosmology I need to work with at that time. But this is stepping from your inner temple into other realms, into other realities. So that can be done, and it's probably the most advisable to do. You don't need to get to those, or in order to get to those other realities, those other realms, you don't need to go through your astral temple. You can go directly there. I have found personally, and this is personally, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but I have found that if I go directly to the world tree, if I'm doing a shamanic journey, get more into this later, but if I'm doing a shamanic journey and I go down a hole and I go straight to the lower world, I find it feels like something's not completely there, or I'm not completely there. If, however, I go into my astral temple and then I step into this world, I go into the world tree and I go down into the lower world from there, then I feel like I'm completely there. It's probably a psychological trigger, and it works for me, but it's not necessarily the correct and only way. It definitely isn't. There is no correct and only way. So just bear that in mind. When we're talking about these things, there's a lot of different perspectives that can come in. I'm talking about not allowing energies into your astral temple. There are certain scenarios where you can do that, but they are very specific, and to try and talk about all of those things becomes difficult. I mean, we'd have to carry on talking for days and days and days and try and think of and fit every single little scenario into this example. So, you know, it does get very personal, but there are some general rules or general guidelines rather than rules. Rules are kind of sticky, but let's call them guidelines. General guidelines to just think about before you go ahead and do a particular thing. All right, so astral temples, as I said, go and check out the video that I did previously. I will link it above and I'll probably put it in the description, but if you hit the eye icon, it should be in this corner. I always forget when I'm recording which corner it is, but it should be in this corner. A little eye icon, just hit that and it'll open a panel. Whoop. And you'll be able to get to the video from there. So go check that out. As far as I remember, we did do a black hat chat on astral temples, so I'm going to link that one as well. It'll also be in the little eye icon. All right, so go check those videos out. They are very informative, and we will get onto more stuff next week. All right, so have a good one for now. See you soon. Cheers for now.